What's up, squeegee slingers and water-fed pole wiggling wagglers, and welcome back to the Tradman YouTube channel once again. Today we're talking about the battle between the Samurai Bucket on a Belt version 2 and the Moerman Bucket on a Belt version 2. Which is better? Pros and cons. Which should you spend your hard-earned cash on? Stay tuned. Right then folks, so yes indeed, today we're talking about the Samurai Bucket on a Belt version 2 and the Moerman version 2 bucket that just came out recently, and the pros and cons. I've been using both bucket on a belts now for just over 6 months each, so they've both had a really good test, so I've been able to see the pros and cons to both. So let's delve into it. Now first things first, we're going to talk about the prices for each of these bucket on a belts. Now the most expensive one is the Samurai Bucket on a Belt. Now especially if you don't live in the USA or Australia, which is where you'll have to get it shipped from usually, this cost me quite a lot of money. The bucket on a belt itself was just over £43, which you'll have to convert into the kind of currency that you use, but £43 is what I paid just for the bucket, and then it was almost about the same again to actually get it delivered with taxes and everything included. So I was close to £100 to try and get this delivered here in the UK to have a good go of. So that's the price of the Samurai Bucket on a Belt. What about the price of the Moerman? The Moerman Bucket on a Belt version 2 comes in around £30 here in the UK. Again, you'll have to convert that depending on the currency where you live, but £30 is what I paid for the bucket on a belt here in the UK. So quite a bit cheaper, especially considering the delivery as well. So let's talk about some of the differences and similarities to these bucket on a belts. Both bucket on a belt will hold an applicator and both will hold two squeegees. The differences are that this one in particular will hold two large applicators but is not customizable. That's the Moerman one, you cannot customize that. The Samurai Bucket on a Belt you can customize. It comes with different inserts where you can change how your tools will sit in the bucket on a belt. So if you're looking for something where you can kind of change it up a little bit and customize, then go with the bucket on a belt with the Samurai. But if you're looking for something that you're just bog standard wanting to hold an applicator and two squeegees, then this will do you fine, the Moerman one. Now when it comes to the actual squeegee slots themselves, there is a bit of a difference. The Moerman Bucket on a Belt has a plastic divider with no protection in it, so your squeegee rubber may get little indentations from leaning against the partition in there for holding your squeegees. Whereas the Samurai Bucket has a curved insert to protect your squeegees. So if you're looking for a bucket on a belt that's more likely to protect your squeegee blades and not leave indentations, then the Samurai Bucket on the Belt will do a better job than the Moerman one will. Now when it comes to staying put on your leg, if you prefer your bucket on a belt to stay put and not swing around all over the place, then the Moerman one wins when it comes to that. It has a fixed belt at the back and it is also slightly curved, which contours to your leg very nicely, whereas the Samurai Bucket on the Belt does tend to swing around a lot more. So depending on what you prefer and how you like to run your bucket on a belt, those are the differences. This one doesn't swing and this one does. When it comes to the size of the bucket on the belt, the Samurai Bucket is a lot more slender and a lot thinner than the Moerman one. The Moerman is quite a big beastie and you will feel the difference on your leg between the two if you're to try them. Personally for me, I do like a bit more of a slender bucket on the belt. It just tends to catch on less things and feels a bit more comfortable than something that's rather big and bulky. But that's not to say that the Moerman one isn't comfortable. It is actually very comfortable to wear. Just remember that the Moerman one is that bit bigger than the Samurai Bucket on the Belt. Now both bucket on a belts do a very good job at what they're supposed to do. If I was to recommend any changes at all, with the Moerman one I would like to see a little bit more protection for your squeegee rubbers in there. The center divider between the two squeegee slots does leave an indent on your rubber from time to time, especially if you leave your squeegees in there for too long. With the Samurai Bucket on the Belt, to be honest, there's not overly much I would improve. The only thing I noticed was if you have a squeegee that's round about 12 inches long or less, it does tend to fall out. So just be aware of that from 12 inches and under, it's not really going to work very well in this bucket on a belt. But that would be my only real concern and niggle with the Samurai. But with the Moerman, I would like to see a bit more protection for your squeegee rubbers in that divider. So when it comes down to it, which one would I personally use and prefer to use day to day? Well, for me, I personally still like the Samurai bucket on the belt. Reason being is that my squeegee rubbers are protected. I'm not constantly getting indentations on the rubber if I forget to take my squeegees out for any length of time. It's quite slender, feels nice on the hip, doesn't feel too big or bulky. Whereas the Moerman one, like I say, does from time to time leave indentations on the rubber, and it is quite a big, bulky bucket on the belt. Like I say, both are very, very good, but just from my own personal preference, I still prefer the Samurai, even though you are going to probably pay through the nose if you have to get it delivered and you don't live in Australia or the USA. If you do live there, then obviously it's going to be half the price than what I paid for it. But bucket and belts do tend to last you a long, long time if you look after them, so they're very much worth their money, and both of these do a very, very good job. So if you're in the market for a plastic bucket on the belt that really does do a good job, you won't go wrong with either of these, and I would highly recommend both of them, to be honest, but just my personal preference is still the Samurai. Hopefully that video helps you and you've enjoyed the video today. Thank you very, very much for watching. It has been truly much appreciated. You take care, be good, oh, and remember, keep squeegee slinging.